Welcome to Pokemon Genetic D. I am Janella and today we will learn about Marfan syndrome. Marfan syndrome is a genetic inherited disorder caused by mutation in fibrillin 1 in chromosome 15, which makes it an autosomal dominant disorder, meaning that only one abnormal copy of Marfan gene inherited from one parent is enough to pass it in the offspring. This is rare because it only happens 1 in 5,000 people. Most are from inheritance and only 25% because of other reasons. Fibrillin is the main component of microfibrils. Microfibrils is a strong and have rope-like structure that forms connective tissues. Connective tissues are responsible to bind and support all organs and systems in our body to remain intact and serves its purpose. Fibrillin has three types. In the case of Marfan syndrome, fibrillin 1 encodes fibrillin 1 protein, and this is the affected type of fibrillin. The FBN1 mutation causes fibrillin 1 to be either less functional or less abundant on microfibrils. Fewer functional microfibrils denotes to have low tissue elasticity and integrity. And these functions are important for the lungs and in the heart, allowing expansion and contraction for breathing. Without fibrillin 1, connective tissue may be weak. Fibrillin 1 also influences the behavior of transforming growth factor beta, responsible for the growth of cells. Due to growth of cells, weak and less elastic connective tissues, it also affects a lot of parts in the body, including skeleton, eyes, blood vessels, lungs, and the most fatal one is in the heart. First, let's describe the most obvious sign of Marfan syndrome, which is the skeletal system. Individuals with Marfan syndrome has tall and slender body type, disproportional long arms, legs and fingers, crowded teeth, abnormally curved spine or scoliosis, and overgrowth of ribs. Chest is also affected. If the chest sinks in, it's called pectus excavatum, while the opposite or the chest out is called pectus carinatum. Marfan syndrome are not life-threatening, but it still needs diagnosis because the signs and symptoms varies from one person to another. It becomes fatal when a person develops aorta disease due to small amount of elasticity of microfibrils. Aneurysm occurs when there is an enlargement of aorta that weakens the wall. Next is dissection. It happens when the inner wall of the aorta has small tear that allows blood to be squeezed in the wall, obstructing normal blood flow. Lastly is the aortic rupture, which is the full tear that makes blood to escape the vessels. All cardiovascular complications can cause death, so surgically treatment is needed. Other signs and symptoms of Marfan syndrome are arachnodactyly, or the excessive growth of toes and fingers, which the length of the thumb, for example, extend beyond the edge of the hands, or the palm. Because of the weak support of the connective tissue, there are nearsighted or has myopia, lens dislocation, and retinal detachment, makes their eyes light sensitive. Lastly, because of the less elastic connective tissue, it can form bullae in the wall of the lungs, cause to have collapsed lungs. So now, to further understand and remember Marfan syndrome, here is the summary. The pattern of inheritance of this disorder is it is an autosomal dominant genetic disorder in chromosome 15, and all men and women can be affected. Next, the cause of this disorder is the genetic mutation in fibrillin 1, a part of microfibrils. Next is the effects of this syndrome is weak and elastic of connective tissue that affects skeleton, heart, eyes, lungs, and blood vessels. The physical signs are tall and long arms, fingers, toes, and spinal dislocation. Diagnosis or the symptoms are aorta disease, lungs having bullae, and lens dislocation. Next, for Marfan syndrome, there is no cure, but it can be treated with accordance to the body part that is affected through surgery. To learn more about genetics, check out our website at bsedsciencepup.com because learning science is fun.